It's multi.
That's a whole other kettle of beans.
It's because you're American and you just don't really know how to talk. But we love you still. And we'll support you.
So, what's the plan, team?
It's cute how a little kid would go garbage can instead of garbage can.
When I was young,
what I want is for men to think of me as a small child. That's what I want.
Oh, uh-oh.
What am I aiming for?
Dean Cuddy, he stepped in the landmine. Beep, 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 beep.
When I was younger, I had a bit of a speech impediment, and I couldn't say War Memorial because there was always a school trip to the War Memorial. And I couldn't say War Memorial. Couldn't do it.
My little niece used to call me Aunt Malala.
Oh, that's cute.
That's great.
That is cute.
Like a Zelda character.
An old seer. So, what is the plan?
I would. I did. I trained with Chu.
Yeah.
Taught her how to hold it, stick it with the pointy end, blah, blah, blah.
Do not teach us how to hold it, please.
She already knew how to hold it.
I got a real look from Doxy there. I think we're probably just waiting for Beetle Boy to turn up. Like one of us would go and keep watch on the road all day.
Which means it's downtime!
During the day, I would like to be training Undercommon with Riley. During the night, I'd like to be practicing Chuli.
Okay. Yeah, because like Chuli's, yeah, that's absolutely fine. Anyone else?
During the time that I'm actually Vale's happy to keep watch most of the time because
if we assume that you're keeping a cycle of watches, you can also do a downtime thing as well. Yeah, but what would if you want to do anything else in downtime other than that?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, well,
Serena wants to continue giant bat hunting.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Vale would study Jiang's journal.
Have any particular focus?
Well, obviously, I would suggest not the daimyo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We know. I really want to get a big red pen and cross out Chelian and Horaga. And
if I wasn't running 4 games, I would like do that for you.
Yeah,
I'd have a new PDF each time you beat one.
I think Visceral.
The War Strider, who apparently doesn't actually have a name, just has a title.
Maybe that's his name, Visceral Weaponsmith. It's like Ollie Smith.
Visceral is a type of metal in the Underdark, so it's not a name.
You fucking idiot.
I'm pretty sure that's right, aren't I, Ollie?
I don't know if you guys know that.
No, I don't know if the characters
that is
know
true.
that.
Yes.
But just based on the design of the thing, the name of each of them is above their title. So logically, the War Strider is what this person is known as.
Yeah.
And Gilwin would write a song for Riley called "My Bad, Dude."
My bird, dude.
My bad.
My bird would have been better.
My bad.
Fair. Endura, you just learn another week of Undercommon. Boom. Easy. Miss Serena, can you give me a animal handling check?
Come on. Damn it. I wanted the 19, but I got the religion check on this.
That was an incredibly useful religion check.
It was an incredibly useful religion check, but I want a giant bat!
You don't get much luck, honestly. Yeah. The whole...
Am I at least beginning to figure out like their feeding habits and such like?
That's not gonna help you a whole lot. This kind of thing, you
enough.
really need to form a relationship with one.
Okay, fair enough.
With such large creatures, or buy one. It's pre-trained.
Just act as bait. Swim around in a river.
Mr. Neil, also known as Vale. Can you give me either an intelligence or wisdom check, please?
That's Mr. Vale to you.
Hey,
That's
an
like
alright
the
roll.
first journal roll I've ever rolled.
You did some good
these-
ones at the start.
Maybe.
There's actually quite a lot about the War Strider, whose name is Veth, in this journal, because as a warrior, Jia Ying respected her to some degree. The War Strider really seems to have two main duties in the Queendom, neither of which really would make sense for her to have so much high standing. It's really that she's a bit of a celebrity and friend of the daimao. First of all, she is a Drider. Straight up, she is ascended.
Great.
She is one of the very few ascended who actually is in a very high-ranking position, because usually they're kind of like beyond that, or doing their own thing, or disappear. But she was quite important even before her ascension ritual. She was essentially a paladin of the church. Not quite how you would imagine a paladin, but she was really a militant faction of the church when she ascended, which was rare for that to happen. Usually only priestesses ascend. So for someone like that to ascend is a bit strange. Her duties are twofold. One is overseeing the Varustal manufactory districts. This is a magical metal, as Ian told you out of character, but in character he would describe it as being the strongest material in the world. It is a rare and hard to find ore that is processed with acids and magics to make it be near indestructible when properly processed.
Sit.
Hmm?
I want sit.
It's claimed that the War Strider has armor made of this, and that's supposedly rumored, maybe grafted to her body. Not quite sure about that one. As well as a weapon that she wields of that. And in battle, she is quite the show-off, because her second duty, other than overseeing this manufactory district, is Lord Executioner. She does these fanciful executions in the Garden of Blood, which is a grand arena where she basically plays with her prey for killing them in that arena, usually to a crowd of at least several other important people. And I think you vaguely knew that because you've been executed by her, according to the people.
Indeed.
That would really be the whole lot of the information. Lots of important stepping off points there.
Indeed. Useful stuff. Vale would obviously, as he discovers this over the nights, tell everyone what he's learned throughout the days.
Would any of that inspire conversation? I kind of thought that Dean was going off on one because he did this kind of Gilwyn shuffle, but I think he just dropped a crumb.
The Gilwyn shuffle.
There is a Gilwyn shuffle. There's kind of a... So...
It's
Really?
a hit in gold
Yeah! There is.
I love it when
Definitely
people
have
like.
tells.
I love
Yeah.
it when people spot my tells.
There's like a tell for getting into Gelwyn's voice, and it's like you're awkwardly walking into a room,
There's a
which is
tell
a very
when,
good one.
There's a tell when like Doxy or Ollie speaks to me and they like wrinkle up their nose like it smells something bad. They're like, what?
It's like most of the time I talk to you.
Wow, that's rude, boy.
War Strider.
Yes, Veth, I believe Jiang said. He's like flicking through like he's not committed it all to memory.
It's also a very awkward one to pronounce because, like, V is not an incredibly common Elvish letter as well, and stuff like that.
Yeah, V's not a common letter like Vale.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, it's a form of teenage rebellion, isn't it, to change your name from Eravale to Vale?
What you said about hair? Him? Hair?
Her.
Her.
She is a drider.
She toys with the people she's going to execute, correct?
Like a spider. Or, no, like a cat.
Okay. So, we can assume that she's kind of got an ego, right?
It certainly gave me that impression when she was reading.
And she thinks she's pretty formidable, I would imagine.
Yeah, hot shit.
I wonder how well guarded she'd be if she'd refuse that sort of thing.
Yes, that was my first thought as well. If we could bait her into arena combat.
Well, it depends. Does she intentionally underarm her combatants?
The problem is, apparently she wears this armor made from visceral. It's a sort of metal that apparently is nigh on indestructible. In fact, they say indestructible. And they also query that it may be, apparently there are rumors that this metal is grafted onto her body.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty hardcore. Like, I can stab someone, but I can't stab them if they're clad in indestructible metal.
Well, everybody has to do these things, so there are weak points. You just gotta find them. She could be grafted head to tippy toe. There are weak points you can fucking stab.
I've cleaved metal.
It is a rather different type of opponent than what we've fought thus far, though all of our opponents have been magic users of some description.
So we could overwhelm her.
We
I
can
bet.
immobilize her.
I bet her mouth's unarmored.
Her eyes likely as well.
Mm-hmm.
We could poison her.
Unless you stab her while she blinks and she's got grafted armor on her eyelids. Just time it. Just time it correctly.
I
What-
wonder if that armor is heavy, and if we could use that to our advantage in some sort of trap, make it difficult for her to rise again.
It is worth
Heck.
noting this magic this metal was called magical. Obviously it is nigh on indestructible, but we don't necessarily know what properties it has.
Mr. Vale, can you roll me a history or religion check, please? Whichever would stroke your boat.
I thought that was Julie yelling Mr. Valen.
Oh dear.
Oh, fuck. Never mind. You were about to
Well,
learn something
guess we're not
really
pushing
useful.
this along.
Never mind.
Have I ever heard of visceral on the surface?
No. Ew! You've kind of forfeited your chance to roll another roll with that one. If someone else wants to roll a history check to see if they've ever heard of it before or something like it, feel free.
Wouldn't it be great if it melted in direct sunlight? Yeah, I considered that, Will, but what if it's resistant to heat melt?
Gilwyn has heard, as he hears lots of stories, where there is an indestructible metal called adamant that is forged on the Cardinal Isles far across the sea. There are orcish stories of the orcish forge workers, of how horrible the conditions are, because it's such a dangerous thing to craft. And you immediately connect the two things. It's very possible that adamant and virustal are the same thing, just forged in different ways by different cultures.
All right, so
It's
I
nearly
relay that.
indestructible, but not to itself.
Okay, so I relay that.
So if Serena casts that sucking spell right in the very center of this person's being, all the visceral will just go.
Cheese it.
It's not that potent, but it would be
Yeah.
cool.
In a perfect world, like the ending of Ant-Man.
Yeah. So, potentially, if the rumors are true, if we get our hands on some of that metal ourselves, potentially?
Potentially, we could stab her. However, these driders don't seem to go down very easily.
Yes, I had one chasing me for half of that last battle. They are rather tenacious. It is worth noting that if she is the overseer of the district that deals with forging this metal, that we could, for instance, try to steal some of the weaponry from the district and provoke her by that method.
Mm-hmm.
Which would kill two birds with one stone, because it would arm our melee fighters with the weapons while also drawing her out.
That seems like quite a good start, yes.
Although she will then inevitably, of course, know we have Visceral.
What can she do? She can't exactly pull off a grafted piece of armor.
Maybe she puts more on. I'm kidding. It sounds like a good plan to me.
We should probably try and gain more information when we return to the city, but as a rough outline, it can serve us for now.
I agree.
No, he can't.
There might also be, there is that smith with the Ronin, the fell feeds, I believe. Seemed quite an elderly smith, might have some knowledge of the thing.
Perhaps we could commission him to make a weapon that can pierce.
If we can get hold of the raw materials, yes. They could not make me mithril armor because they didn't have the resources. This is not a well-funded rebellion.
So we pull off a heist, get our hands on some Visceril, take it back to the Ronin's camp. They are indebted to us because of the supplies. No doubt will want to help us, and we get them to forge us all some Visceral weapons.
Or just, a weapon that can pierce.
I mean,
Maybe there's a different metal we need. Maybe there's a gem we need.
It is worth bearing in mind when we speak to someone who's more of an expert in these things. Yes.
Agree.
okay.
Or that I'm muted.
No,
Another week
I'm not
passes.
We're
I
listening.
was for stream.
Oh,
muted. Oh.
You think you know everything just because you're D&D players.
Statistically,
yeah, I don't know what
we
that was
do.
about either.
Stars.
Another
I thought
week of downtime passes. I assume you're all going to really be doing the same thing.
Giant bat. Yes.
I would instead of training with Chuli for the second, because am I making any progress on anything?
You're
with her?
already doing your downtime week thing, which is learning Undercommon. Training with Chuli is cute and maybe important to her. But you're not getting. You're going to really do like one mechanical thing at a time.
Okay. All right. Well then, I would like to assist Serena in hunting a giant bat.
If you want to
assume that by now
completely
she's told me that she wants one.
Yeah. If you want to
Oh, yeah.
completely assist, you can not learn Undercommon for a week and give her
Okay.
advantage.
I will do that.
Woo. I'm
I
now
mean,
going to
I don't
roll like.
have to, if you don't want me.
No, that was not sarcastic.
That was a genuine woo from a man that's dead inside.
I mean, not entirely inaccurate. Anyway, thank you. Yes, thank you for the advantage. I very much appreciate it. Watch me roll below 10 still.
now I'm calling it. It's the natty 18.
You
I'm
want
calling
me to
double
roll
ones.
bed? Never
Oh,
mind.
that's it. I'll
it's
take
gotta be
that.
an-
I was close. One off. We'll take it.
Okay.
I just remember my double nat one last week.
That
was-
is classic. You
that was something.
In all your searching for giant bats, Serena, it became clear that big animals like that, you need to create a personal connection. You can't just make a trap, something blah 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 blah. It has to be a personal connection, and with the help of Indira and her very genuine empathicness, which is a
Steal a
terrible
baby.
sentence, but we know what I meant. You actually do manage to
Steal a baby.
make friends with a adult giant bat. You find it by a hive of what you assume to be some sort of underdark bee. They're much larger than regular bees.
Ah, you mean underbees?
Underbees. Lowercase
Underbees.
bees.
Lowercase.
It was feeding on the honey and the bees that it could get away with eating outside of the hive, and because they are quite big things, it can eat quite happily. You two help it get a big meal. It warms up to you. It's a little bit more friendly. This giant bat is grey furred with sort of brown skin under the fur. Got kind of mottled brown patches on its face. Quite sharp little teeth, several rows, kind of like a shark. And is makes pretty okay friends with you. It's still animal handling checks to ride it, but it will at least be brought back to camp so that you can continue feeding it. And Julie actually seems to know what to feed it. Like, almost immediately when you bring it back, she goes and finds big old woodlouse under a rock and drops the thing down for it to get eaten, stuff like that.
Cool. I'm going to call it Phyrin. Spelt P-H-Y-R-I-N, just to be difficult.
Cause you extra.
Yep.
Okay. Your beauty run remembering that spelling, not me.
Yep.
Oh, would you look at that? Some serious mechanical benefits to having a giant bat. Not only being cool. Vale, would you do anything different because you already read the journal?
I'd read the journal. What else is there to do, you know?
Does the man not dream?
We could just hang out.
Yeah, let's hang out. We've not hung out in a while.
You can. There are downtime rules for relaxation.
Yeah, let's go relax.
Yeah. Sure, why not?
But sitting on like a cliff staring down.
Yeah,
over.
exactly. You're relaxing in cool places.
So, Vale, at the end of all this, when we've saved the Earth, when you've saved the Earth,
Its surface maybe a little bit.
what are we doing? What are you doing?
I don't know. It seems like if we manage to pull this off, we will be so famous, Gilwyn. So famous and rich. People will pile money upon us as thanks. Everyone will know where we go. The golden elf and his human. No, I kid. That would not be
It's accurate.
But maybe that would get annoying after a little while. Maybe my people would insist I return to High Central. Maybe
You listen?
we could go abroad. You know, out of Jarviskjir. Take the boat, or a boat, and go somewhere else.
Hmm.
Would be one hell of a thing to write songs about. And I could probably kill people and you wouldn't get mad over there, right?
We'll discuss that.
Right. Only certain people.
I'm thinking I'm gonna quit this adventurer life, whatever you want to call it. I mean, by this point, I think I've already peaked. Probably back at the dragon.
That was pretty cool. What will you do?
I have no idea yet.
How will you survive on your own?
I have no idea yet. I want to be with you, but you don't seem the hang it up and take it easy type to me.
Well, maybe it would be fun to play human for a century.
How many centuries do you have in the bank?
Well, the way I see it, elves fade when they no longer have a purpose. My purpose is being alive as the last of the Sun Elves. So, I'm going for well over 1,000.
I mean, by that logic, you should live forever.
Right? Yeah, that's what I thought. But keep that one under wraps for now.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking about going back to, what was the name of the island with Jack on?
Where we found the loot.
Yeah.
Didn't we change its name?
Ollie, do you remember the name?
Night's Rest. It was Beauty's Rest. You renamed it when you left.
Shit, I feel bad for forgetting that. Sorry, Nate.
He wouldn't mind.
He's dead.
I'm thinking about going back to Night's Rest.
Okay.
For a little while, anyway.
What would you do? I mean,
There must be... I don't know. There must be something there, like a library that's been untouched or something.
people eating man frogs.
That's fine.
They wanted to eat us.
But they're aware.
They had a big frog that actually ate me.
It's dead.
Right, yeah, but what if it had eggs in there? We didn't look.
Nah. It was probably fine.
Probably fine.
Look, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I can't keep doing this.
You could start a circus.
A circus?
Yeah, right? Then you travel around, but you're also sort of settled. You have all your friends with you and you get to perform. And that way you won't ever be on your own and in grave, horrible danger.
Don't circuses have wild animals?
Yeah, but like you train them, right? They're like Pegasi.
Holy. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it could be the winged horse circus, you know?
Or the Gilwyn Circus.
Oh, I'm not sure about that name.
The Gilwyn Circus.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to be... We need... I mean, the golden-skinned guy will work on the name.
Yeah.
But you would be a great attraction.
Yeah.
Just put you in a cage and go, look at that. Holy, he's got gold skin.
I am very beautiful, but maybe. It just seems, I could do most everything at the circus, but I don't know what I want to do afterwards. I too would like to spend it with you.
Well,
Maybe we should go see whether we can't find Haven and Melody. You never know. We might find them. They washed up on some remote island, and now Melody is there saying Melody, and Haven also had too much water, and now sits there and goes Haven right back. And they've got kids. Oh my God! There's 3 of the little guys, and they're like called Melovin and Helody.
Helody and Maven.
Melovin, yeah, or Maven. That's actually a real name, isn't it?
I tell you what, I feel bad. I totally forgot about Melody.
What about Amelia? Oh, so you remember her?
Yeah. Yeah. College.
Wouldn't it be nice if we make it through all of this and people pile on huge amounts of gold to us as thank you for saving the surface, if we go and pay off Amelia's debts?
That would be nice. There's a start.
I think so.
That would take a day.
The frozen wastes are pretty horrible, I recall. Really quite nasty, actually.
Okay. Put my hand out.
We save her first.
Yes.
At that point, that you see, because you're sitting on a hill overlooking the camp, something skittering through the trees towards your camp, and recognize it as 2 members of the Ronin slave army. They're riding those giant tarantulas that move unsettlingly fast through the fungal trees. And they will kind of stop under the hill. And one will call out, "Is this all of it then?"
That's really vague. What if he's like in drow, guys, obviously. He's like, what if I was just a drow?
But we know.
But cloak and dagger, wouldn't it be cool if we had some code phrase?
We didn't set that up.
Maybe we should.
Yeah, next time. That'd be a good idea.
Okay, cool. Yeah, come on around.
Yeah, and they'll get off and kind of check all the stuff and be genuinely quite impressed, because this wouldn't be much to an army, but to a group of unarmed slaves, this is a massive haul. One will turn to you and ask, "Are you coming back with us, or do you have your own agenda?"
We will be coming back to the city, but would it be easier to filter through on your own?
It's going to be a whole process getting these in. They can't all
Indeed.
go through the paradise, so we'll have to figure something out. Maybe start a war camp outside of the city.
That seems like a fairly reasonable idea. Anyway, would our traveling with you assist you?
I believe it might be more dangerous.
Then
We
I
should
think-
take our affairs, and you should take yours.
I think that would be wiser then. In which case, if you do get back before us, let the lady know that we will be requiring the services of the smith.
There's a, I would say respectful bow, but amongst these, the slave army, there's less of that courtroom etiquette. So it's much more of a, a deep head nod and respect. And they start corralling the beetles off and about. Something that seems to genuinely upset Chuli quite a bit. She doesn't like them leaving.
We still have the one, don't we?
You still have one. And how do you want to get back to the city?
I think we do the old switcheroo again. We head towards the city, take one of the outer ring roads around, and head in via a different entrance.
Go around the back.
Always.
Toilet bowl strat.
Yeah, toilet bowl it. Okie dokie. This is actually perfect because on your journey back, which is going to take some time, it allows Serena to get Phelan?
I know you do. Firen.
Phylin.
Firen. We all got
We
it
all
wrong in
got it
different
wrong.
ways. We pay attention to what Ian says here.
It's a difficult name.
It's a deliberately hard name because he hates us.
With a PH.
With a PH. What are you
PHY
doing,
at
dude?
that.
You're trying to break me, Scoob. Yeah, I mean, Shaggy was just coming out. I couldn't stop it. I chose to embrace it. You can start on your way back. This allows Serena to get a little more practice in flying on the giant bat. You really need some sort of saddle for this thing. You figure that probably won't be the hardest thing to get, actually. With a saddle, you'll have a much easier time. It's still not a bonded creature. Trying to make it do hard things that it would not want to do will require checks. But just flying you around in battle and outside of battle at the moment is fine. It'll be easier with a saddle, and then it'll be even easier when you actually reach peak bonding level.
I wish you'd said peak bondage.
Yeah, but I didn't.
A lowland raticate is ugly.
Yeah!
What the hell?
I never drew them in my little Pokemon project.
I'm glad.
Do you know how much Neil cares about this game that he's playing Pokemon Go right now?
I'm in downtime.
The journey back takes a little while. You're in the warm season, and it is uncomfortably warm for a lot of it. It reminds you a little bit of...
It is uncomfortably warm.
Some of the time on the tropical seas. It's never really that humid. Seems that according to Jiang's journal, that comes later in the year. But that's, that's fine. It's more or less the middle of the season by the time you get back to the outskirts of Narashiro, and we're gonna kind of draw the attention back when you get close to the city again. On the toilet bowl strats, there's kind of two ways you could enter the city from the top. There's kind of three ways you could enter the city from the top, but really it's only two. Don't know why I said there were three. My brain is doing many calculations. But you can kind of enter the walls of the Narashiro from any of its major gates, and within that, there are sub-actions of kind of what tier of the city do you want to enter. Do you want to enter the manufactories and farms, the middle-class districts, the noble districts, the really noble districts, the artisans, the lowly below districts? Or, on the northeast side of the city is a sort of hill connected to the city, and is a sort of run-down, walled-off camp. It's almost like a little extension of the city, like a little growth. You could also try and enter through. It looks less guarded. The building designs are different just from afar, just looking at it as you're kind of traveling on the roads over.
Like Mind Flayer different?
What
Well...
kind of does it look like? Like a
it's
mining camp or like a war camp or...
Insight checks, I suppose.
Let's do it, Doxy. Let's insight the hell out of those buildings. Da 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 da.
They're both good ones.
That's a better
Because
one.
whenever Indira rolls good, someone rolls better.
Well, this is the
Take
rule
a dump
of
on
Neil.
Doxy rule.
This is the rule of Neil. Whenever he rolls against me or Doxy or basically anyone, he almost always rolls better.
Nothing personnel, kids.
Even if he rolls a lower number, it's one of his high stats.
That's true. The
I'm a rogue.
camp you see is almost like it could have been an extension into another town. It looks like with the Treaty of the Deep and the alliance between races that this was kind of a meeting point for those other races, for the delegates for those treaties. It looks like it's been a little bit abandoned, but you still see buildings that look like they might be dwarven, that might be lots of spaces for tents and beetles, gnomish buildings, mind flayery buildings, and a lot of just other ramshackle housing. It's clearly not in the greatest condition, which means probably the whole trade relationship is probably not in the greatest relation. But it does seem like an easier place to enter the city from, because it is guarded just kind of all by these other factions and things. It just might draw attention to different people.
Would Vale know that big boy brain suckers can read a little bit your mind?
Yeah, I mean, you would have the rumors of what mind flayers are. You were told vaguely of what mind flayers were, that they're
We were told.
mental.
All of us were.
Yeah.
I'd like to go that way, but I'm worried about mind flayers, basically.
I mean, either way has advantages or disadvantages, really.
Should we put it to a vote, guys? I vote that way. Let's roll the
I
dice.
also vote that way.
They'll just stare at Indira's bum. And then that's all they'll find in his mind. An iron shield.
Buns of iron. I think the vote is you're going to enter through the War Sprawl.
Oh god, that's the war sprawl. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Might be worth looking around for ingots.
It definitely would be a good place to look around for just assorted things you may or may not need in your adventure.
Maybe we could pick up some higher tier potions.
Yeah,
It's
don't
called a
like
war sprawl, right?
being down to one greater and one normal. I don't like that at all.
It's possible that they're sold like along the main street.
So when you enter, you kind of come up the hill. It's kind of like the war camp when you first entered the Underdark, but way more permanent. It has the kind of almost webbed walls, kind of similar to Narashiro, but they're not as high. They don't cover the whole city. They're only a story and a half or so. Enough that you can see the people on top of the wall, which you can't in Narashiro. The guards in front of the door is two deep dwarves. There is a drow a little bit further inside. They are not a samurai. They are wearing just kind of city guard clothes, and they are straight up reading a book. They are not paying much attention. The dwarven guards do like clear their throat and speak in their best undercommon. Riley's like, "Hey, buddy-os, just crawling in through." Like she does the old negotiation persuasion roll thing to let you inside into the war sprawl. And yeah, it is a bit of a sad, sorry place to be. There are empty tents. There are half-finished buildings. There are a lot of signs that in either Elvish or Dwarven read moved. Like, we have moved to blank. The purpose of this place seems to have passed, but it doesn't mean there's not people here. The people here are either street urchins who find it easier to be in this part of the city, a lot of the Dwarven community. You do see Ilthid when you're entering. To say this place is a central main road doesn't really make sense, because a lot of the Underdark cities they're much more a sprawl. There's almost like a main artery that kind of makes like a capital I shape right through the city and then enters the so you can kind of see down that road, and you do see uncomfortably tall, hooded figures, very gangly, but look as if they're gliding across the floor, the cloaks just ruffling at the ground, kicking up the dirt and dust. With the dwarves operating blacksmiths, there's people who maybe have been exiled from the city proper. You see a lot of the folk around have brands, be it a Ronin brand, trader brand, thieves brand, things like this. Seems like it's kind of, oh, you can't live in the city. Well, you can live here. You see quite a few deep gnomes. They're usually off to themselves talking in gnomish. There does seem to be a few number of gemsmiths, jewelsmiths, jewelers, as well as tinkerers' shops and things that they're running. But really, when I talk about shops, they're more stalls that may have slightly more permanent fixings. The biggest places, like a dwarven forge, have proper buildings, and there is a big indoor market. There's a really big Beetle stable. A lot of hands for hire here, a lot of mercenaries. Occasionally you see figures that are either vague shape of an elf but entirely clad in clothing, and you just can't see any part of them. It's a strange place. It's a Mos Eisley kind of place, okay? Do you want me to say it? I said it.
That connection.
Yeah.
So, 1, I wonder whether we can get healing potions. 2, I wonder whether it's worth selling the beetle here.
I don't like the idea of selling the beetle. I think we should hang on to the beetle. We still have a lot of travel left.
Wow.
We still have several marks to kill.
Yes, but
Riley will straight up say, I think they're all in the city. I'm more than happy to turn this bad boy into a crab. But I don't know if we're going to be leaving anytime soon.
May as well get something out of it before it.
perhaps we could see what they offer. If not, if we're not happy with the offer, crab it and take it to
Riley
either...
makes a face at that. I don't think I'm comfortable using crab as a verb.
What if we sent Shuli with it to the Ronin?
Huh?
I mean, we are heading there anyway, so we could take her there.
Yeah. And then she'll be safe. And the beetle will be put to use. And Vale, you won't have to worry about me sacrificing myself for you.
I like the
It's nothing, yeah.
I like the selling idea.
I mean,
At least to see what we would get.
truly going to being in the care of the Ronin and the Beetle going to the Ronin are mutually exclusive. You do not have to do both or neither.
Perhaps we should just see what sort of gold they sell for.
I would just look at Serena.
But the Beetle has been useful. So, and the Ronin could use all the help they can get.
That's true. But so could we.
We just have to decide if this is a necessity thing or a greed thing. Because if it's a greed thing,
Well,
then I would rather donate the beetle.
yeah. How about
If it's a necessity thing, then let's sell it.
how about we decide what we need, and then consider if selling the beetle would aid.
I only have about 1,600 pieces of coin, which is not significant if we are looking at buying healing potions that will actually do us some good in these fights.
I only
If a
have around
beetle
1,300
sells for a,
myself.
if a beetle sells for a couple thousand, that could actually save our lives.
I have 2,300.
I have just short of 2,000, but that might need to go towards mithril armor if I can find someone who will sell me some ingots.
Look,
I think we sell the beetle then.
let's see what it's worth. If it's a significant quantity, then we will sell it. It is likely to go to a good home because they are valuable and useful. If it's not a significant amount, maybe we don't sell it.
This is reasonable, but I'm not overly familiar with the prices of horses on the surface, but correct me if I'm wrong, they are not so expensive that we could get that to make a significant difference to our pockets.
Riley's like, let me. It's easy. You know, a horse is a horse cost. A good horse is a horse cost and double. And a horse cost is more or less the same as a camel cost, but you know, a good horse cost. And then you want a really good horse cost. That's 8 horse costs. We're not even talking about that.
Right, I have no idea what she just said. Anyone else?
Well, you see, a good horse might go for 150 gold. If it is good. A horse reasonably can only hold one rider for any length of time. This beetle is capable of carrying significantly more than that.
These beetles are the sizes of elephants.
Well, we can check. I just do not expect it to line our pockets with gold, particularly.
Well, let's find out then, Miss Naysayer.
Riley, do your thing.
Yeah, Riley will get off and go over towards the large beetle stable here.
Hello, Governor.
It's a bit of a hello, Governor. Gif gaff goff. The stable has lots of lines of that click-clocking beetle feeding machine. The dirt there is much more upturned, and some of it is dug deeper into the ground. A beetle, this one, it's all right quality. Will sell for 250 gold, which is not a small amount, but not probably as much as you want it to be.
250.
You donate it then.
It's like half a greater healing potion.
Yeah.
If you want to take me off, want me to take off doing that, then absolutely can.
I'm confused. What was that sentence?
Do you want her to go and take the beetle to the slaves while you do important plot stuff?
We have to
okay.
go to the slaves right now anyway to talk to them about.
I mean,
I don't know what your
pretty-
priorities are.
They pretty much will. We're guaranteed that they will be able to make it because they can. He's capable. The smith is capable of working mithril, which presumably is very difficult to work with as well. Perhaps not the same as Vistril. It might take longer, but if Riley's offering that, I think we take her up on it. Get her to take it while we do a bit of shopping here for not
Because
dying.
you were talking
items.
about staying around, poking around for a bit.
Yeah, let her go off with that. And
Trying to even mention that there are taverns and casinos and things like that in this area. They're sweaty quality, but still.
So let her go off with Chuli and the Beetle to the slaves. That way they'll all be safe. While we look for, like, probably most likely health items here.
Okay. If that's what you want to do, that's a good cause. So your first priority is items of health, and then what was the second one? You had 2 things you were looking for, really, here.
Well, if I get the chance, I would, and obviously I would need a translator, so I'm not going to be able to do this alone. But I would be looking for mithril ingots, if not actual like half plate and such like.
I'll come with you.
Okie dokie. You can be my.
Okay.
Yeah, once again,
Vale's buying health potions. You 2 are looking for mithril.
I would go with. I need.
Yeah.
Also.
So you would find herbalists here. There are people kind of selling potions off the side of their Beetle and things like that. Regular healing potions for 50 gold pieces a pop. Easy enough to buy. They would also even sell greater ones, which are often a little harder to find. But in this kind of world where arcane magic is a little more common down here in the Underdark, the greater healing potions are a little bit more common, which will be for... Let me open up my Xanathar's Guide. Do-do-do. Do-da-bop. Beep-beep-bop-ba-doop. Xanathar's Guide is great. They're going to be 400 gold each, greater healings.
I'm going to flirt to try to get that lower.
So it's a little old deep gnome man.
Still gonna flirt to try to
I
get
know,
that
I just wanted to set the scene. It was in my head, but I hadn't said that. Who's kind of running this shop off the side of one of the smaller beetles.
How much gold have we got between us?
I have 1340.
Okay. American when I said that confused me. I was like, ah!
Yeah, that gets me sometimes.
Yeah, I have 1660.
Pieces.
Excuse me. That's slander.
1340. You should.
You guys can think
That's
about this
exactly.
because it is break time. So you think about that while I deal with this moth that just appeared.
So we got a flat up. Rip Ollie. Here
So
comes
we're
the
going to
radiance.
be taking a real quick break of Reno.